doing a review of Holding On to Strings Better Left to Fray by Seether. Now, one thing I would just like to say first is that if you've seen any of my other previous videos, you'll notice I always have a microphone about here, but now with the camera that I'm currently using, I actually don't need to use a microphone, which is pretty cool, as it would make the editing process a lot longer than it should have been. So that's pretty good. It gives me more room to do that. I don't know why I'd want to, but I have room to do it if I do. So anyway, this is the 5th studio album from post-grunge Southern Africans Seether, and it was released on May the 17th, 2011, so only last year. And the lineup was, of course, Sean Morgan on lead vocals, and leads and rhythm guitar. Then Dale Stewart on bass and backing vocals, John Humphrey on drums, and Troy McLawhorn on lead guitar and backing vocals. And, well, he was on lead guitar except for the song Fair Q, which is the first track on the album, which was recorded after he'd already left the band. So it was the first Seether album to feature Troy McLawhorn, who was previously touring with Evanescence, I think that's how you say it. And, he left just after they'd recorded most of the album, except for Fair Q, to go and tour with Evanescence again on what I presume was their newer album tour. So this album managed to get to number 2 in the US Billboard 200, which is pretty good for a Seether album. It's actually Seether's best-selling album best-selling first week certainly to date. And the last album seemed to get a bit of bad press, finding beauty in negative spaces, but in my opinion that is their classic album. So yeah, So this album, it starts off with the song Fair Q. And now this is a pretty typical Seether song, and it's more like something from, sort of Calm and Effect type than the rest of the album, which is, it's a pretty commercialised album, to be honest, and this is probably the heaviest song on the album. But, it isn't exactly gasoline. Then we get to, let's see, number 2 is let me go through the track listing. Keep forgetting to do this. So, Fair Q, No Resolution, Here and Now, Country Song, Master of Disaster, Tonight, Pass Slowly, Fade Out, Roses, Down, Desire for Need, and Forsaken. So anyway, No Resolution, again a typical heavy Seether song with, a great chorus to it, and it certainly does capture that post-grunge energy. Sean's vocals are, they're very good in this song. Right, then we get to Here and Now, which is probably my favourite song from this album. It's lighter than a typical Seether song, and certainly more commercialised and doesn't have any of that rawness from something like Disclaimer 2. But that certainly doesn't make it a bad song in any way. No, it is quite the opposite, with a brilliant chorus and nice solo. As I said, it's probably my favourite song off the album, and it's brilliant. So then we get to Country Song. This is the single from the album, and got to number 2 on the US Rock Songs chart when it was released on March the 8th, 2011. Now, don't be put off by the title of Country Song, because this certainly isn't a typical country song. It isn't even really a country song at all. The song gets its name from its sort of swampy verse riff, and the album was recorded in Nashville, Tennessee, I think, and that is of course the home of country music, and Sean Morgan said that he wanted to pay homage to this place. So yeah, it isn't really a country song. How many of Willie Nelson's songs have an overdriven chorus? Not any that I can think of, not that I really know much of his stuff, but I'd be pretty surprised, to be honest. It may not be country, but it's a good song with a nice chorus. It's not one of their best singles. It's not like The Gift or even the cover of Careless Whisper. It's alright, you know, it's not too bad. And then we get to Master of Disaster, which starts slowly with a clean guitar and goes into a, you know, good melodic rock track. It's quite light, and it's certainly not the heaviest, but I'm not saying it's soft rock by any means at all. I mean, this is, I would say, you know, this album, it is their Illusion of Progress, if you know that album by Stade. It's Stade's 2008 album, which met a lot of criticism for its softer songs. And this doesn't, you know, I'm not saying it has things, if you know them, like Believe, Pardon Me, things like that. But this album certainly does have a more commercialised feel. I suppose maybe a better analogy would be it's more like their All the Right Reasons, which is Nickelback's album. Yeah, right. So this is, you know, it's a good song now. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a, you know, good song. So then we get to Tonight, which in my opinion is quite Foo Fighters-esque actually. Especially the guitar in the chorus. I do find there is certainly a Dave Grohl inspiration there. It's very, very strong. It's one of those songs I imagine in a, you know, good live concert. It'd be really good. And then we get to Pass Slowly, which is a very slow song. It's alright. It's just, you don't remember it. I can't even remember the tune of it. Not at all. It's easily forgettable by the time you finish listening to it. Not to say it's bad, it's just, it's very much an album track, a slow album track. It's like Seether's Believe, except Believe is a phenomenal song, Stayed song. And yeah, so, I can't say I enjoyed it that much. It, yeah, wasn't the best ballad in my opinion. Then we get to Fade Out. This is probably, I would say, the second best song on the album. And it definitely has that finding beauty in negative spaces feel, which for me is good. You know, as is my favourite Seether album. It has a great chorus, really great drums, good solid song, you know, very much enjoy it. Then we get to Roses. It starts off with piano, which is certainly very different for Seether. And I think the song has similarities to their cover of Careless Whisper. Except it's not half as good as Careless Whisper, because their cover of Careless Whisper truly is probably, I'd say, maybe the greatest cover. Ooh, I'm not sure. I think Joe Bonamassa's cover of Tim Curry's Slow Gin is actually probably better. But still, it's a fantastic cover. And this is probably the worst track on the album. I just didn't enjoy it at all. Could not get into it. It's just uninspired. Then we get to Down. It certainly does capture that, as a, you know, another song that captures that post-grunge sound. And there really isn't anything wrong with it. It's just very averagey and isn't very memorable. It just, again, washed over me, just like, what's it called, Pass Slowly. And then we get to Desire for Need, which, yeah, it does sound a bit like you know, this isn't a good thing. It sounds like a song from Nickelback's Dark Horse, except without the constant sex references. And yeah, that does mean it's not a very good song. It's just, meh, you know, not bad, not really bad, but just not good. So last, and they certainly haven't said the best to last, is Forsaken, which isn't half as good as the Namesake Dream Theater track from, I can't remember, Systematic Chaos, I think? No. Could be. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is a Seether review. But it's, you know, a decent song nevertheless. Not Seether's best, I mean, by any means at all. But, and, you know, well, anyone who thinks so is a moron. But it is acceptable, it is acceptable. So overall then, it's not Seether's finest work. It doesn't have the warmness of Disclaimer 2. It doesn't have the passion of finding beauty in negative spaces, which I think is Seether's masterpiece, a phenomenal album, as I've said many times throughout this review. It's not, the thing is, it's not a bad album. It's just Seether, in my opinion, set such a high expectation. Disclaimer 2, Karma and Effect, Finding Beauty, such wonderful albums. and then this, it's just too commercial. They've never been the rawest band, but they've taken the commercialisation that bit too far. Still, it is a good album with things like Here and Now and Fade Out, which are really, really good songs. You know, has a few average and below average tracks. So, you know, I'm going to give this album, I would say, a 7 out of 10. So certainly never was a contender for Album of the Year in 2011. And yeah, so that is my review of, what's it called, Holding On To Strings, Better Left to Fray by Seether. So yeah, thanks for watching. This has been the Album Man. Comment, rate, subscribe, and bye.